I did something bad. I didn't do something bad. I did something exciting. Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Knits by Mandy. My name is Amanda, and today we have the 18th episode of the Knits by Mandy knitting podcast. Woo! I'm starting to have to look up every time what number episode we are on because these numbers are escaping me. But glad to be back for another monthly roundup. So this month I went on vacation. I went to Italy with my boyfriend, which was very fun. But I basically got like half a month's worth of knitting done because of that. And we'll get into all of that in today's video. We can talk about what I'm wearing. I'll share a whip with you all because I don't have a finished object and I only have one whip. So I figure I will spend some time talking about something that I posted over on Instagram, a different way of how to de-stash or get rid of items that you don't want to wear. We'll see where the chats take us, but it might just be a little bit of a lighter episode this month, but I really like a little monthly check-in. And Sassy really wants to play with her scratching pad right now. So if you hear her, that's my daughter. Well, wait, why don't I just move her scratching pad outside? Girlfriend sleeps all day, and then when I want to film a video, it's freaking WWE at her scratch pad. So last time I saw you all, I'm pretty sure I was thinking about knitting the vacation vest while I was on vacation, which was a very fun idea in theory. That classic thing where you either bring too much yarn or you bring too many books on vacation thinking you're gonna have time to get through them all. And I honestly didn't touch my knitting once. It just took up space in my backpack, which was a little annoying. I think it was just a good lesson that like maybe I don't need to always bring my knitting with me everywhere, and like it's okay to take a break. And I had already taken a few weeks off at that point, so I basically took almost like three-ish weeks off of knitting, which was nice. It was totally welcome, and sometimes you just need that for a creative reset. You may have seen this swatch before, but my original intention was to hold this colorful rainbow tweed, this is called Creative Tweed, together with a DK weight yarn. And I'm still planning on doing that, but I quickly realized I only knit on this project while we were waiting for our flight to Europe. We flew through Dublin, and I picked up my project and I realized two things. First thing, I cast it on in the wrong size needle, which I have done that before. I have brought, specifically bringing a project on vacation and it's the wrong needle size. I did that last summer and I brought a too big needle size. This time the needle size was too small. I cast on in a 4.5, but the project calls for a 5mm needle. I realized that unlike holding two wools together or a strand of wool and mohair together, the two yarns that I was using don't stick together because one's a cotton linen blend and then I think the other is like viscose and polyester. Like these are not sticky yarns. They're plant-based or otherwise fibers. They're plant-based or acrylic fibers. Like they're not going to just like automatically cohere. That caused a little bit of an issue, I think, for like the portability, and as I was pulling the project out, there were already a lot of tangles in the Creative Tweed. It dawned on me quite quickly that this was not maybe the most portable project that I thought it was. So once I kind of realized it was the wrong size needles, that really just kind of stopped me from wanting to pick up. Sassy's literally peeing. Miss Queen has use the facilities. So for those two reasons, one, me having the wrong size needles, and two, the yarn honestly just being a little tangled, that was enough to make me say, maybe I just like don't knit this vacation. And honestly, we were traveling around. We weren't just like sitting on the beach, so there wasn't a whole lot of time to be knitting. So anyway, I didn't really start knitting until I got back from vacation in the middle of this month. No problem. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. Good to take a break. In fact, I encourage it. I actually just put away the yarn for the vacation vest and decided that it's time. It's September. Like, I can't not be working on a sweater right now. And also, the weather actually turned here quicker than I thought. Like sometimes it stays just like very, very hot through September, but the past few years, I think in DC, we've gotten just like a little chill in the air, which feels so nice. It's been so like brisk outside in the mornings. We have the windows open, like we haven't had the AC on in like 3 weeks since we got back. It's just been lovely, very good sweater weather. So I decided it was time to get cracking and start working. I'm realizing I didn't mention what I am wearing. This is my Mauricia cardigan by Vert and Rose Knitting that I finished this March, right before my birthday. It's knit and knitting for Olive, merino held double in the colorway Dusty Artichoke, and it's just delicious. I have these fun little daisy buttons on it, and I'm very excited to be able to wear this again. So this is my Mauricia cardigan. Okay, moving on. So when we came back, the air was crisp and it was ready and ripe for sweater season, and I decided I was finally going to put up or shut up, and I decided to put up and start knitting the Folklore cardigan by Taylor Swift. Inspired by Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift actually knit that cardigan. Like, that's how talented she is. No. So, she didn't do that. At least not to my knowledge. I wouldn't put it past her. In my, like, second ever YouTube video I posted, I talked about wanting to knit this sweater in my 2022 knitting plans video, which seems like a long way away, but it was like a year and a half ago. A little bit more than a year and a half ago. It's almost October. If you're not plugged into the Taylor Swift extended universe, Taylor Swift released an album called Folklore in 2020. On that album is a song called Cardigan, which is also a part of like a trilogy of songs all about the same people, 3 different perspectives of the same story. She's a songwriting genius. Anyway, song called Cardigan. She, being the genius big brain capitalist that she is, released a corresponding cardigan as merch, and it has since been a very like hot commodity Taylor Swift item to have. Luckily, people have developed patterns so that you can re-knit the sweater, and she has since, there's so much noise today. She has since kind of iterated on the sweater for each of the like Taylor's Versions album she re-releases. So with like the corresponding color of the album, a new cardigan will come out. Folklore is one of my top 5 albums of all time. I love it. It really honestly got me like into Taylor Swift, and it just really got me into her discography. I still listen to this album all the time, and I honestly really like the sweater. So the sweater is a paneled cable construction cardigan, and it is originally knit in like an off-white cream, like natural color with black varsity striping on the hems and the button bands. And it's constructed mostly of moss stitch and cabling and like diamond cables in the sleeves in the back. I will show you what I have so far. I've actually gotten quite a ways, and I'm very excited about the yarn that I'm using. It is yielding some delicious results. So like I said, it's a paneled construction, and I'm working on the back panel first, and this is what it looks like so far. I probably have, I don't have my tape measure with me, but I know that it'll take about 7.5 diamonds, and I'm at 3.5 right now. So I'm basically exactly halfway, if I'm doing math kind of correctly. A little more maybe than halfway. Let me just bring you up close to this yarn, because it is just, the stitch definition is so good. Like, the cables look gorgeous, and they're not even blocked yet. They'll look even better once blocked. I love blocking cables. I missed knitting in cables. And I actually went over on Instagram to ask if people had DK wool recommendations, and I was asking also for more in like a budget area, and I wouldn't call this a budget yarn, but it won't break the bank. And this is Kelbourne Woolen's Scout, which is their DK weight wool. They describe this wool softness wise as an in-between of Corriedale wool and merino. So Corriedale being more rustic and merino being quite soft. And I definitely like feel that. There's definitely a woolly property to this yarn, which I really like. It's knit in 2-ply and it's incredibly stringy and bouncy, which I think is lending to how like chef's kiss these cables are looking. This is the black one. Like, it's just okay, well, you know, you don't have to do that. You don't have to just like roll out of my lap, but it just feels incredible. Like, look at that like springiness. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? It's great. So I have it in the colorways natural and then I believe charcoal heather. In the colors, the 2-plies have a slight heathering effect, I believe. So you'll get a little more dimension out of your colors, but in natural, they're all just one color. And I have to say, I am even more excited having started this and having this panel, seeing how it's feeling and looking. I'm very excited. And I didn't mention the pattern that I ended up going with is the Folklore cardigan by Amy Gunderson. There are 2 pattern options, at least to my knowledge, for knitting, and I think are some crochet patterns as well. So the Lion Brand pattern is free. I don't know how many sizes it has, but you're definitely more limited on your size range, and it does that thing where it will like pair sizes together. So like one size is a small medium and the next size is a medium large. Personally, like, I don't do that. I don't mess around with that because it's just a very inaccurate way, in my opinion, to know how something's gonna fit you. You don't know. Like, what do you mean it's 2 sizes? I get worked up about that. Anyway, what do you mean? So I decided to go for the paid version to have a little bit more control over the size that I chose. That being said, I don't think you're paying for a lot of like explanation in this pattern. It's very kind of like bare bones. I know there's kind of a variance in different ways and different pattern styles that people write their patterns, but like just a heads up, I remember like knitting the Mauricia cardigan was very similar. It kind of just like described how you should knit the pattern. So for example, sometimes patterns will like maybe like hold your hand a little bit more or explain how you're going, like explain how the next steps will happen or what it will look like. But there's a bit of just like knowing and understanding that you need to do to knit this pattern, which is totally fine. I just thought I would note that. So that was the main reason for deciding to go the paid route. The other reason was the gauge. So the Lion Brand calls for an Aran weight and this calls for DK. And although this is like a very like cozy, oversized, like chunky sweater, I still wanted it to be like a reasonable weight. Like, this is a DK weight sweater, and I think with the texture, it's still nice to wear and like versatile. Long story short, an Aran weight sweater just isn't as versatile to me, so that's why I opted for the DK, and I'm quite pleased with how it's turning out so far. So this will be, I think, my main project. I'm really just kind of chugging along. I'm getting into the groove of the pattern repeats. So it's a 24-row repeat for the diamonds, and then it's a 12-row repeat for the rest of the sweater, and it's starting to feel pretty intuitive. I did have a little bit of a mix-up on this 3rd diamond, so when you kind of like switch this, there's supposed to be, I think, 1 row where you just like knit and you don't make any cabling, but then I skipped that, and so the cables are just like 1 row short on that round. But I realized that kind of too far, and then I'm like, I'm not redoing that. That's stupid. So that's the only like big mistake I made so far. I did cast on the wrong number of stitches the first 2 times, but then I decided I should probably just rip it back and redo it. So that's what I'm doing. And honestly, like, I'm not that nervous about the panels yet. I think the thing that will probably kill me is the button band. I think like after all that seaming, to do a button band like might be cruel and unusual like punishment, but I I think I will live. I've actually never done a picked up button band before. The 2 cardigans that I've done, I've knit the button band as you go. So that will be a new skill. Seaming is not new to me. Cardigans are not new to me. I guess this specific diamond is new to me, but cables aren't new. Moss stitch isn't new. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like a lot of the things that I made in the past 2 years are leading up to this larger, I think more traditionally constructed sweater, and I'm just feeling good about it. So I'm very excited to have this, and then I can listen to folklore and be sad while I wear it, because what else would you do when wearing this? It's gonna be big, obviously, like this is the back panel, and it's gonna be oversized, and this is the size small, so definitely has a lot of ease incorporated into the pattern, which is good. If you look at the original pieces, like Taylor Swift is basically wearing it as a dress, which that would be a serve, honestly. That would be a slay. Okay, so that is my one project that I'm working on right now. I told you I don't have a lot. Overall, enjoying the yarn, enjoying the pattern. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good to be making something with texture and that's structural. I mentioned this in my fall knitting plans, and I don't want to be too redundant, but I want to knit with more engaging patterns this fall, I think. I'm not a process knitter, but I am starting to think a little bit more about the process when I'm knitting a pattern. After making a long stockinette dress and I think working on a lot of stockinette dresses this summer, I'm like, give me something else to do. I'm like ready just to have a little more interest and intrigue and kind of like thought put into my projects at this current juncture. That might change at any time and is subject to. So that's what we're feeling in this particular moment. We'll see what I'm feeling at the end of this cardigan. Other one thing that I did mention, but like the yarn hasn't come in yet, that I do want to make that I didn't even talk about in my fall knitting plans video, this is a podcast exclusive piece of information, is I want to make the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose of Penrose Knits. And this is just like a very classic looking blanket. It's made in squares, but you join the squares as you go through short row shaping, and then you can alternate the colors for like each half of the square. So she designed it with like advent calendar and like mini skeins in mind, and I did something bad. I didn't do something bad. I did something exciting, and I purchased the Autumn Tonals minis by Sorella. So those should be coming soon, and I think I'll have that as a little side project, and I'll finally have a knit blanket in my home. That makes me very excited. I do need to buy a corresponding like white yarn to go with them, so I should think about that. But yeah, I'm very excited to like do that. I've honestly, well, I have probably purchased that much hand-dyed yarn at once, but like it's exciting. I'm really excited to have all those different colors. I don't have that much hand-dyed yarn in stash, because I don't like working with superwash a lot of the time, and that's a lot of what hand-dyed yarns are. But so I'm excited to use it in this way. Very exciting plan. So that's the only other plan that I didn't even like mention in my fall planning video that is coming, and it's happening, and gird your loins, get ready for blanket madness. But the other knitting related thing that I wanted to talk about is something that I, full disclosure, got sponsored to talk about in a reel on my Instagram. It's not performing well, so you probably didn't see it anyway. But I'm not getting sponsored to talk about it in this video, but I just think it's really cool. And it's this app called Lucky Sweater. And it's an app where people can trade, solely trading, slow fashion or me-made items. And that also includes like yarns and supplies, or if you sew, like fabrics and sewing patterns, and it's all strictly trading, which I love it, because The exchanging of funds is like so 2000 and late, am I right? Anyway, I can put more information in the description. I do have a referral code. So like if 5 people sign up for it and then add something to their closet, I get like a $25 gift card. And you can also get a referral code if you go to the app as well. It's not like anything exclusive. But I just thought I'd mention it because I think it's a very unique platform for, I mean, one, if you're really into slow fashion brands. I'm not so much because the money that I invest into my fashion usually goes into knitting, and then honestly, like, I don't have money left over to be paying for the price of more sustainable brands. That's kind of how I split the difference. One, it gives you the opportunity to be able to trade for slow fashion items, and it also gives you the opportunity to be trading handmade items with people that like understand the value of what it takes to make an item. So I just think that's really cool. I'll show you the 2 things very quickly that I posted in my closet, and I'm probably gonna post some stash yarn on there for next Tuesday's drop. So things like drop on Tuesday, and then you can like look who liked your things and like look if they have things that you would like, and then you can like facilitate trades from there. Haven't traded yet, but you can trade with me if you want. So the 2 things that I uploaded, you might have seen these from my closet clean out video, are these 2 sweater vests. This is knit in the petite wool by We Are Knitters. It is inspired by a Well Loved Knits sweater vest, and then this is the Stockholm slipover by Petite Knit. This is knit in La Bien Aimée merino singles and rose quartz, and then drops air in like white. So these are 2 like really cute, like I think nicely made pieces in my opinion that I never wear. So I thought they'd pretty perfect candidates to share, and hopefully they can find new homes and I can get something cool. So again, honestly, just mentioning that because I don't have a lot of knitting to show you. It's knitting related, and I think it's cool not getting compensated for talking about it. So there you go. I did talk about my future plans in my fall knitting video, so if you haven't seen that, I will link that. That goes way more in depth in what I've been thinking about. So it's been fun to hear what also you've been thinking about. Okay, it is reality TV talk time, and I want to talk about the Real Housewives of New York City and of Salt Lake City. And like, yeah, let's just like get into it. So let's talk first about New York, because I thought that this franchise was going to deliver like just a little bit more than what they're currently delivering. I am watching, but it is like this. Like I am watching like, now that we've gone on the cast trip, like what else is going to happen this season? Because I'm kind of bored. And it's making me question how possible it is to have something like the early seasons of Real Housewives again. Like I don't think that's possible. It's kind of like that thing with The Bachelor and Bachelorette that like people just started going on it to get more famous. And maybe at the beginning of the Housewives franchises, people were doing it because they wanted to be on TV and like had this inflated sense of self, but they didn't really know concretely like how that could pay off for them. Now it's a little more obvious and lucrative for people to join a show like this. And so there's a lot of self-producing that I feel I'm seeing going on in the show, or maybe just like the production isn't that good. So, like for example, talk about this trip that they took in the most recent episodes of Roni. Lyons, who is the most wealthy, most successful, most notable person on this cast, says she wants to go early because she wants to tan and she doesn't want to fly coach with the other girls. She says this not necessarily like in confidence to someone else, but like to someone else. She tells this to Aaron, and then Aaron goes back, kind of misconstrues the message of what Jenna was saying, and in a really catty way, like wants to bring up Jenna as like a villain, or just like as, oh my god, can you believe that she would do that? And then, and here's what was such a fatal move, I think, in Aaron's part. No one wants to watch a group of women gang up on one woman. That's not fun, and immediately you will not carry any favor if you're part of that mob attacking one person, because it's just like, it's not fair and it's not fun to watch. Like, it is not fun to watch like a group of 4 women pile on one. I need a little more balance in how things play out. So immediately I was like, Erin, number 1, that was shady as a friend. And number 2, it's bad housewives 101 war strategy. I was like, you played that wrong. I understand. She probably had to say it, but like, I didn't like it. And the whole thing with her and Uba kind of reeked of microaggressions to me. It just left me like not liking Erin. I think she wanted to dish it, but she couldn't take it. And then I don't want to get into all of it because honestly, it was like messy and not entertaining. Like, it was so unfun to watch. And I think they maybe thought they were giving Scary Island, but they absolutely weren't. I'm really skeptical to see what the rest of the season brings. Like, now that they went on this trip, I don't know what's going to happen. Now, let's talk about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. It's really good. It's giving a lot of drama. I do wonder if like there are any genuine friendships in this cast. It doesn't feel like it currently. Like, everyone's like calculating that we're living in a post-Jen Shah world, how things are playing out and like how all the allegiances are falling. I'm really interested to see, especially I think the most compelling relationship to me is Heather and Whitney. And also Lisa and Meredith, like these 2 friendships, like will they make it? I think that's actually quite compelling. The one thing I wish, and the one thing I think a lot when I'm watching this, is I wish Whitney would get better at confrontations, because I honestly think she always has like valid points, but her delivery is just like so bad, and then she's often like a dog with a bone and like won't let up, that I'm like, you could really bury these women, but you aren't there yet. And it's like season 4, it's like, Whitney, I need you to be better, because I love my Wild Rose. I love her so much. You know, like I want her to do it, but she's just not quite there. So we'll see. I'm loving it. Like, I think it's one of the better franchises on TV right now, but I'm like, both of them, I'm like, okay guys, what's going on? But the trailer for Real Houses of Potomac just dropped. It's one of my favorite franchises, and it occurs very locally to me, so it's always fun to watch. So that will be coming up. Other than that, I have started my Gilmore Girls rewatch. I'm deciding to go seasons maybe 1 to 3 this fall. I usually avoid them because I hate Dean. And my boyfriend was like, is Dean really that bad? And I was like, yeah, he is. He's the worst. It's Logan, Jess, Dean, in my opinion. And we can fight about it in the comments if you want. So that's what's going on. I really am a creature of habit. I like my comfort shows. We are still watching The Sopranos. We took a big break from them. And I haven't watched really anything new recently. And I don't mind, other than Real Housewives. So that's where we're at. So I think that concludes this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think coming up, I want to go back to the video that I did around Real Housewives and like sweaters that I would knit for them, and maybe do that for a show like Gilmore Girls or something else, like not necessarily reality TV, but like a movie or television. And I think that might be a really fun series to start on the channel. So maybe you can expect that coming. Let me know if there's any other content you would like to see this fall. And yeah, thank you again for being here, and I will see y'all soon. Bye!